here we go. It is Monday, August 28th, 2023, and from the home studio, Middletown, Delaware, I'm Marshal Manlove from Delaware Sports and My Sports Reports, this being a special interview edition of our show. And shortly, we are going to meet one of my favorite people that I have met over the roughly 30 years that I've done this or so, the athletic director from the Salesianum School in Wilmington, Kate Godfrey. But before we meet her and find out what she's up to, let me first just say that this is brought to you by me, Marshal Manlove, stage hypnotist. If you would like a funny, fascinating, and memorable experience for a party or an event that you are having, please consider my stage hypnosis show, details about which you can find at marshalmanlove.com. And please keep October 7th, this coming October 7th, open on your schedule. I don't do many publicly available shows here in Delaware, and I will be at the Smyrna Opera House that evening. Ticket information is on my website at marshalmanlove.com. Just go to the calendar section and you will find that there. And also, thanks to my friends at Jazzercise in Middletown, Newark, and Elkton, Maryland. One of the proprietors there runs a very active Facebook group page for parents of high school athletes. They are kind enough to post up links to the videos that I produce there. And also, if you are in the market to buy or sell a home in Delaware, Maryland, or Pennsylvania, visit my real estate website at marshall.kw.com. For some reason, it is not loading there on the screen. There it goes. So yeah, I do a lot. I have to. I don't want to do anything. I would like to retire, but nothing that I am doing is currently allowing me to do so. But now hopefully, when I press this next button, not that one, hopefully when I press this next button, my guest will appear. And there she is, the athletic director from the Salesianum School in Wilmington, Delaware, Kate Godfrey. This is gonna be fun for me. I have recovered local sports for quite some time, beginning in the early 90s when I did a television show on cable channel 28 here in Newcastle County, and associated website, delawaresports.com, etc. And I met Kate Godfrey when she was in high school. And Kate, welcome to the show. Thanks for making time to join me. And remind me and everybody, well, I know, just remind everybody where you went to high school.
So, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me back. This is definitely a throwback, and I'm really excited to be here with you, Marshall. So I went to Ursuline Academy, and that's definitely where we first met when I had the honor of coming on your radio show and talking with you then. So I'm getting old though. So it was definitely a number of years ago.
Aren't we all? Now, so this is how this has been going as far as aging is concerned. I'm now seeing kids in high school competing whose parents I covered while they were in high school.
I know. That's where, like, when I was teaching for so many years, the same thing. I was like teaching students that I had taught, and like their kids are starting to come. So it's crazy.
And you have a few kids of your own, right?
I do. I have 4 kids,
Wow.
4 awesome kids, 3 girls, 1 boy.
And how old are they?
My oldest daughter is 14, my son is 12, and then my other 2 daughters are 8 and 6 years old.
Wow. So your oldest is almost as old as you were when I first met you. Yeah. So
that is, yeah. And she is over at Ursuline. So she's having one of her first days of school right now. So it's very cool that that legacy is being carried on. I'm very excited about that.
And are any of them into sports?
They are. They play a lot of sports. Right now we're kind of my husband and I are just the parents. We're get involved, stay active. So she's on JV volleyball right now. But she's also, swimming is more of her love. And then she might be trying out for lacrosse. My son's into football, cross country, basketball, lacrosse too. And then my younger 2 they do swimming, softball, and just, basketball. So it's just keep whatever, you know what I mean? Just keeping them active. I like being busy. that's how I operate. So I think sports are such a great way for our students and my kids just to stay healthy, stay well, and get those, be a part of a team and learn all those life lessons.
Well, good thing you like to stay busy.
I know, as do you.
That's for
I
sure.
mean, just even listening, you are everywhere, Marshall. I love it.
Yeah, I just want to be on a mountain somewhere, like drinking coffee with doing nothing. But now you were an athlete in school yourself, played basketball and volleyball. Was there another sport?
I ran track.
I ran track. That's right. And
Yeah.
when you left Ursuline, then where did you go to college?
I went to Washington College, which is a very small school in Chestertown, Maryland. And I competed in volleyball and basketball, although my basketball career was cut short very quickly through injury. But played those two sports while I was there.
So you are an example of someone who I've met over the years who has worked very hard, had a dream, a vision of some sort, and worked very hard to achieve it. And in the radio show appearance that you made with me quite some time ago, that was when I was doing a show at Mount Pleasant High School at a WMPH there. You said that one of your goals in life at the time, which we talked about before we went live here, was what?
Was to coach basketball at Salesianum. Definitely, I said it early when I was young.
Now,
And I would extend it and say my grandfather, who was a big Salesianum guy alum, he made me say it in front of Coach Gallagher, too. So that was a little bit of an intimidating experience when I said that to him when I was in high school.
Now, that's a pretty lofty goal, considering that Salesianum is an all-boys school. And how probably at that point in time, how many female coaches had there been in any of the sports there at the school?
As far as we know, none. There were zero.
So you then ended up actually then coaching one of the basketball teams there at Salesianum, the JV team and then the freshman team. At that point, were you then the first female coach there?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
The first female head coach at the time, that they had hired.
So if you can conceive it, you can achieve it. That's for sure. But then you went one step even beyond that to become the athletic director there. Fantastic. And that's fantastic. But also recently, you are on a billboard here somewhere.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I didn't even know I was going to be on a billboard. The athletic director thing was also a surprise. So you never know where life is going to take you, and that's, yes, I'm definitely a goal-oriented person, as I know you are, and so you just set those goals. And I think if you work really hard, you put yourself in a good position when those opportunities come. But the billboard was funny. I got a text from a friend, and she was just like, "Hey, you're on a billboard on 95," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Obviously, I thought she was joking, but then it seemed to come to fruition. So yeah, I had no idea that was happening.
So how did the athletic director's job become open to you, and what made you decide to step into that role?
So, and I would even take it a step back. I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. So my first love was always going to be teaching, being in a classroom, working with students and coaching as well. And I again, setting a goal for myself, I knew I wanted to become an administrator at some point in some type of field. Both of my parents were in education. My dad started as a teacher, but most of his career was either a principal or working with the district office. My mom was a teacher, so I was surrounded by that. The funny part was my mom, when I told her I wanted to become a teacher, she was like, "Katie, don't do it." But I did it anyway, and I loved the classroom. But an opportunity was going to come up with an administrative position here at Salesianum that I was going to transition into, that I was really excited about. And the plans were moving forward for that. And then lo and behold, the athletic director position came up, and Father Bretter, our principal, and Brendan Keneally, the president at the time, approached me and said, actually, we would like you to take this position. So I was floored, because I didn't realize that that's where any of this was going to go. And why I love athletics, I knew being the athletic director was going to be a whole new set of hours. So there's definitely some concerns there, but just the opportunity and the faith that they put in me, I knew it was something that I couldn't give up. So my husband and I talked it through, and then just jumped right in.
So talk about your responsibility as an athletic director. It is an overwhelming position. I think you're kind of like one of the first to be there, last to leave every day, as far as I know. But fill in some of those details and tell us what your job is like.
It's really hard, because even some of the students, they're like, I don't know what you do all day. Like, it's honestly, it's a lot more emailing than I would like. It's just a lot of back and forth. You're scheduling all the buses and the officials, and coordinating and double checking those things, making sure your fields and gym is set up, ordering all the equipment and uniforms. But yeah, just then once the games get going, making sure you have the game workers there, checking on everything, obviously security of the site, and temperature control of your spectators. It can just go in many directions. But I also tell people, like, you can't be afraid to pick up trash. Like, I'm cleaning up trash when you need to. It's the little things, it's the big things. It's exciting. I really enjoyed, because I was a teacher for 17 years, and just love Salesianum. I grew up coming here from my brothers and my dad and my grandfather. But I've really enjoyed in this position, like, getting across the state and the relationships that I've built, and Bill Schultz down in Smyrna, Dave Collins at Hodson, and just the ability to like work with people like that on a continuous basis has been really awesome.
And so you were able to run a department there that had a great deal of success last year, especially in the winter season. I think you just swept everything there. What was that like, attitude-wise, temperature-wise, throughout the school?
It was certainly amazing to be a part of. In the school, it's a great feeling. There's the boys were very excited. It was a talented senior class, but we've seen some talented senior classes come through here over the years. I think what was most important about that class was like the depth across all sports, as well as like the leadership. We had really strong senior leaders across the board, who really dove into like that team mentality. I will, shout out some of them. Just being a part of wrestling last year was so memorable for me. They haven't won since 1984, and Coach Cam Davis has been here for so many years, and just day, like you're talking, like day in and day out, year after year after year, really working on that program, and to watch them like come, defeat all the odds and win, that was probably one of the best moments, that I've seen going through there. But yeah, I mean, it was great. Now, could talk about my relationships. When I would head out of the school, though, I definitely heard it from all my buddies, as I should. And I know that just puts a bigger target on our back. I also felt bad for all of our spring sports because I knew the pressure was going to be on them. But it was exciting to be a part of that history. But as we always tell the boys, like, you have to keep setting goals. Just because you won, that's not the end game. It's the learning that goes into that, and what are you going to do next year, and how are you going to step up, and setting new goals for yourself really is the most important thing.
So football season starts this week, and a legend here in Delaware stepped down, replaced by someone else I covered in high school, Gene Del Don. What do you know about the football team, and what are your expectations of him and the 2023 team?
Yeah, and Coach DiNardo was certainly a legend, and again put in a lot of time here, and he is just an awesome guy, an awesome coach. And it's great to see that one of his former players is coming in who's going to continue a lot of the work that Bill put in there. So Gene and his staff has been really hard at work. We have a lot of, again, I think one of the common themes about Salesianum is depth. Obviously, we have numbers, and that's what really speaks to, I think, a lot of our success. We might not have as many stars as some of the other teams, but we have a lot of depth, and I think it's a challenge for all of our coaches on getting them in on that team mentality and what your team culture is going to be, what your team goals are, and if you can get them all to buy into that, that's where you really see that success come through. So, I think coach is going to have a learning curve, just like any new coach would, just like I did when I did, like even as a new AD. But they seem like they have a lot of positive energy. They are working really hard. They had success in their scrimmages here. So, I have great expectations for them just coming out and playing hard. But I think it's really up to them to execute what's going to happen on the field. But certainly see us being a competitor out there and giving everyone in our top division a run for their money.
What has been one or two of the most challenging things that you've had to deal with there as an athletic director at Salesianum, or as an athletic director in general?
Yeah, I think it's right now the shortages can be really difficult. With the bus driver shortage, you're trying to schedule games, and you can't get your players there, depending on the availability of busing. So that's worrisome, as well as the official shortage. Same thing. Like you can schedule the game and you can get the buses, but then you can't always guarantee that officials are going to be there. Especially, we saw it pretty terribly in baseball, having a very, very large officials shortage. So those two things, I think, because when it comes down to it, that's what you need. You need to get with the schools. But you have to be able to get them there, and you have to have somebody there who's willing to, monitor the game. So just keeping those basics and trying to get more people who are willing to say yes to those jobs, which is why, I tell our boys, like, respect your officials, respect your bus drivers, because we need them, and without them, you're not going to be out there playing. So I would say those are probably two of the most difficult things that seem to be in play right now.
So at this point, as long as you've been there in this school, the success that you've had achieving some of the things that you want to achieve, there has to be young girls of a bunch of different ages, I guess, real young, maybe some teenage kids and all, too, looking up to you and perhaps wanting to take the kind of path that you took. What would you say to them?
First of all, it's very humbling to even have that kind of brought into play. But certainly as a mom with 3 daughters and 1 son, now it's you want them to be able to believe in themselves and say, like, hey, if there's something that you want to do that nobody else has done, you truly can do it, even on a small scale. Like, I know Delaware's a small state. But, nobody had coached girl, there was no female coach here at Salesianum, and they never had a female athletic director. But I think it speaks to the school and the mission and my administrators for believing in me. But I think it's also, I put in a lot of hard work to get here. It wasn't just given to me. It was because I had proved that I, love the school, and I was willing to work hard and work with people. So I think it's the same thing is true for anyone. And I want everyone, girl, boy, to say, like, hey, if you do have a goal and you put in the work, you can get there. But, there's always failures along the way. And, I'm not afraid to speak about it. As, I applied for head coaching positions with Ursuline basketball during a time when there was a very famous player there. And I got denied twice. And I think having those failures is part of, how you get to where you are later in life. So, it's not always a smooth track. And again, I think it's just realizing that and saying, okay, but I'm still going to work hard, and I'm going to keep my goals and do what I have to do to get there. And if I can be a role model for young girls, I certainly feel very humbled by that.
So speaking of goals, do you have any currently that you are chasing?
So I would say right now my goals are to be a good mom, and I think just juggling that time and balance that work life, and we'll see where it goes, and future, whether that the next administrative step comes later on, and or heading back into the classroom at some point. But I am very excited with where I am right now, and looking forward to my kids just getting bigger and watching them grow. So I'd say like that's where I am at this point in my life.
Yeah, can't blame you. Got a lot going on there for sure. So fill in any blanks for me there, Kate. What am I missing? What if you were sitting there thinking, I wonder if he's going to ask me this question, or I hope he asks me that question? What would that be?
And no, I think it's and even going back to what you said now, things I want kids to be able to participate in sports. I do get a little worried about kids focusing on only one sport. I was a 3-sport athlete, and I think it's great to work with different teams and different coaches, and the learning you get from that, and injury sake, you're working different parts of your body. So I do have concerns about, because it's almost like you can't even make it on a high school team if you're not playing club or AAU, and that's not right. You want kids to be able to participate in things, and I think the clubs are getting a little too business-like, and not really worried about the kids and their well-being. So those are just some of the, going back to what you said earlier, some of the concerns. Because when I look back on my time in high school, it's some of my best memories certainly are with my teams. In addition to just, I had great teachers at Ursuline, very close with some of them still, and between what was happening in the classroom, but what was happening with my teams, like that's how you grow and learn. So I don't want the kids to miss out on those opportunities because they're setting almost unrealistic goals too. And I think it's like being honest with yourself and all those kinds of things.
Have you been able to have any conversation with the student body there to that extent?
I would say, like, when I talk to the boys, here and there, I certainly encourage them to say, hey, if they come and they're like, hey, I'm thinking about this or that, or like, I just want to focus on this sport. I don't want to make any decisions for them. They need, obviously, them and their parents need to make those decisions, but I hope I just give them food for thought. Just, hey, just think about this. Where do you want to be? Like, and even going back to like goals, what's your goal? How can you get there? Could this help you, or hinder you? And just try to be like a sounding board for them. But I mean, I wouldn't say there's any big thing, but just try to push that. I would say we're getting some pushback. There's some crazy things happening with soccer right now on the club level. And they're forcing kids to pick their club team and saying that they can't play for their high school team, which is just ridiculous. So it's just sad that it's coming, like, those are outside forces that we can't control. It's just sad that it's starting to come to that.
True. So one last question. So there was a picture of you that we had put up on our website quite some time ago. It's just you standing in a basketball uniform, I guess, ready to throw in a ball or something. And that picture made its way through the local sports scene for quite some time. When was the last time anyone brought that picture up in front of you?
I don't know. Yeah, it's got to years.
Okay.
So,
all right, good. I'm glad it's still not floating around there, and
yeah,
it's not a meme or anything like that.
I hope not. You never know with these boys. They do stupid things.
Exactly. All right, Mrs. Godfrey, I appreciate the time that you have allotted to come talk with me. It was really good to see you. And again, you're just one of my favorite people that I had the pleasure of meeting over the course of years doing this. And it's one of the reasons why I love to do this, just to meet people like you.
No, and I appreciate you and the years and years and years that you've put in. Like, going back to my point with youth sports, I think your heart is just wonderful for giving our kids in this space such a great way to, to broadcast their accomplishments across the board. I mean, you do such a great job, and I know you are not paid for all the time and effort that you're putting into, bringing all these good things for our kids. So I thank you so much, Marshall. Like I said, I was really excited to come on and do this again. This was awesome.
Yeah, certainly my pleasure. It's a lot of fun for sure. All right. Well, I see kids running back and forth throughout the little window in your door there. So I imagine everybody's back to school and you probably have some things to do. Like schedule some things.
They are. They'll come in. We have a school dog who luckily was quiet during the interview, but here's Louie. Louie's a golden doodle.
Oh, Louie. Yeah, I saw pictures of Louie.
Sometimes yeah, he's a good boy, so he's in here too.
Oh, that's
you never
awesome.
know what's going to happen. Kids, dogs, it's all a mess.
Oh, that's great. You can bring him in there to hang out. Yeah. What sport does he play? Does he play ball at all?
He loves soccer. He likes soccer because he likes that's one of his favorite, soccer, and obviously tennis.
You just need an ultimate team there now.
Yeah, actually we do. We have Ultimate Club.
Do you really?
Yes.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. All right, Kate, good to see you. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you out there somewhere.
Great. Thanks so much for having me. This was a pleasure.
All right. So long.
Bye.
So, Kate Godfrey, the athletic director from the Salesianum School in Wilmington, Delaware. A perfect example of someone who conceives something, dreams something, and achieves something. And it's fantastic to be able to get to talk to her about that. Would you like to recommend somebody to have me interview here on the show? Just reach out to me at mysportsreports@gmail.com. If you'd be so kind as to support the show, just do so by I'm just putting up the ticker there. Come on, there we go. Got my email address and all that kind of stuff. If you'd like to nominate some athletes for Athletes of the Week, send them to me at mysportsreports@gmail.com. We're going to do that on a weekly basis. I put out calls for nominations for like a preseason athlete of the year. We'll do a couple. Don't want to just limit it to one. Maybe we'll do one for each sport, or just as many as we think are eligible to be called Athletes of the Week. Special thanks go out to my wonderful, beautiful wife, Dawnie M., my friends, Joey B. and Tommy K., supporters of the show from day one. Please like, share, and subscribe wherever you find these videos. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am Marshal Manlove, and now from the home studio, Middletown, Delaware, I wish you farewell. Yeah. Almost time for second breakfast. That's right. That's right. There's the end button. That's really what I'm looking for. I'm just filling time so I can find the end button.